Welcome back to Shabby Shack Studio, friends. As we sit down with February's Bujo, we have a really fun and camping theme. Kind of get back to nature, get back to yourself, gather with friends and family. I've just had the most wonderful end of January break for my birthday, when I got to catch up with some wonderful friends that I've known since childhood. And this is exactly what we did. And we were surrounded by all of these families that had really quite fantastic camper vans. So whereas we had something that was a bit more basic, but quite honestly, it did not come down to how much money we had. It came down to the people I spent time with. And I tell you what, I would do it again in a heartbeat. I felt like I replenished my soul, definitely filled my cup, and found my joy. So this month is all about doing exactly that. So you can see on the number plate of this cute little van that I did, and now this is just from my imagination. It's not really indicative of anything that I saw. So hopefully you'll find it quite fun and free up your mind that it doesn't have to be too exact. But you can see the number plate that just simply says pause. And that is how it felt. It felt like I had hit pause on all the craziness in my life and everything that was going on in the busy season, and, you know, a year ahead that promises, you know, as they always do, to have all the trials and tribulations and all of those things that happen and are thrown at us. So it was wonderful to hit pause, get back to nature and the simple things, and back to the people I love. This is going to be quite a long video because there's heaps and heaps of sketching in it. This cover page actually becomes a watercolor, even though this is once again not watercolor paper. If you've been here a minute, you'll be just laughing and chuckling to yourself because this is how we roll. If you're new to the channel, trust me, it doesn't need to be watercolor paper. We can do fantastic things with all kinds of paper, and definitely with inexpensive, budget-friendly resources. So sit down, grab a seat, give me a minute. I promise you're going to have fun. Okay, so I started with this Mont sketch pad. It's a signature range. It's a 150 GSM, which is a bit thinner than I normally use, but still more than twice the thickness of standard photocopy paper and things like that, so still lovely. An A5 size, so that's a 5.8 by 8.3 inches for all my friends on the other side of the globe. You get 25 sheets of this for just such an inexpensive amount of money. So wonderful if you're having a play like I was. It was beautiful to write on, crisp and white, and again, actually held the watercolor really well too. So it goes to show it's a great idea sometimes to just grab what you have and what you feel like sketching. I wasn't sure if I was adding watercolor at the beginning. I do like to kind of keep it loose and free and see how it rolls and how the piece speaks to me. And I did this cute little sketch, and then of course picked up my favorite pigment liners. And again, all my stuff will be noted below, so you'll be able to find it at your regular craft stores for very inexpensive prices, or you can look online if that is your thing. Okay, so this was just simply a couple of some cute little people. I've been drawing people heaps lately, and just in that kind of relaxed scene. And again, it was just my imagination. Kind of put these cute little party lights or vintage globes up, and imagined the van or the bus how I think it would look, and then just a gathering of friends, gathering of people, sharing a coffee. Just really was such a joy, and of course it came out in what I was doing this month, because that's exactly how I roll. I share bits and pieces of my life with you, and I create absolutely from the heart. Now you're actually also going to see lots and lots of quotes this month, because once again, that's how I roll. So I'm always about the words, and kind of quite speechless from my break, just that I really did just live in the moment and had such a wonderful break that, you know, basic words weren't really good enough. I needed something a little more. So of course this month I ended up picking up lots and lots of quotes that spoke to my heart. this one is, and at the end of the day, your feet should be dirty, your hair messy, and your eyes sparkling. And that's exactly how I felt. Didn't care about messy hair and dirty feet. We were jumping in and out of the pool and you know, just spending time together and laughing. And it was absolutely so hot up here too. So we were just doing everything we could to keep cool and just enjoy one another. So it was really just such a wonderful break. Loads and loads of inquiries about my sketches, so you can see that this was a really basic kind of pencil sketch, and then I just added to it as I went, added a little bit of extra detail and all those little things. Hopefully it helps you kind of think about how to sketch something. Again, I just use a really light pencil, that way I can erase the lines without damaging the page. And ultimately it means I can paint or colour over it or anything at all. And I do in fact do both. I use colour pencils and watercolours throughout the journal this month. And then of course lots and lots of ink. And really just kind of, again, it's just in my imagination. And the pencils are just ones that were gifted to me from my children. So they weren't expensive pencils, and certainly not one that you need to go and look up. Just choose something that feels comfortable to you. Again, these were my pigment liners. This one is a 0.03, and I did use a 0.02 as well because this paper was a little bit gentler, a little bit finer than I usually use. So I wanted to make sure that when I was putting a few details in throughout, that I didn't want it to be too thick. The watercolors I use, I actually just picked up a few of my favorites, the yellow ochre, the sap green, the sienna, that kind of thing, and then just kind of mixed up my own and splashed on a bit of color very, very loosely. So you could do this so easily. You could, of course, use Copic markers or just the pencils, as I do come back in and just add a little bit of dirtiness or a little bit of shading, because it just felt like it, getting back to nature and exactly how it would feel. Most of the lines are freehand, and I really am embracing that kind of perfect imperfection, the little bumps and shading and lines, but I did use my cute little ruler that you always see me picking up just for things like the grill on the van, because I wanted it to be a little bit more defined. You are, of course, welcome to use your ruler as much or as little as you please. So I encourage you to do what makes you feel good. And then, of course, you might want to put loads and loads of detail in your van, or more detail in your tent, some bunting or more botanicals or whatever it is that you like to draw. And that's the fun thing about this project, is that you really could have more detail or less detail. It's totally up to you. type is, of course, and as always, just completely freehand. I don't want everything to be kind of the same height and spacing. I want the lettering to kind of sit higher and lower and have this very loose, fun feel, so that's how I do it. And then I just simply add a little bit of shading down one side, so you can see me repeat the stroke. And that's it. I just have a little bit of shading down one side of it to give the lettering oomph. Make sure I add lots of swirls and curls and tails and that kind of thing to make sure it's very fun and loose. And then I'm going to come in just a moment after I finish this and add some watercolour. Once I'd finished inking this sketch, I literally just came back in with some watercolour. For me, it just felt like it needed it. Watercolour seemed the perfect medium, that kind of soft wash of colour, the imperfection, how it blooms and bleeds together, so you have kind of these darker patches and lighter patches. It just felt that it was such a great fit. I was not worried at all about colouring inside the lines. I just wanted it to be really gentle and soft. I didn't want to add a lot of water though. Okay, so let me just say, if you're using paper like this and it's not a watercolor paper, just be mindful of how much water you add, and you can't keep going back in and layering a whole lot of color. You just need to throw that wash on, be pretty happy with how it is, and move away. Let it dry completely. It may buckle a little bit. This one did, but you know, that's to be expected, not watercolor paper. And all I did was put it under a heavy box or book that I already had on my desk. Once it was completely dry, I just popped it under that and let it just kind of flatten it back out, and it did. Sterling surface, did a perfect job. It was not an issue. It's now in my journal and making me smile, reminding me of such a fun time. I did actually decide to go back in and add extra people because there were so many of us there, and I thought, you know what, it looks like there needs to be somebody sitting on that crate there in the corner. I couldn't jam us all in there, otherwise it would have been a little bit too crowded, but I needed to add in some extra friends, so I did go back in and add an extra person here and there. And again, it's I'm sure my friends will sit there and go, "Oh, is that me?" So that's kind of fun too. That it's a little bit of a memory, bit different than taking a photo. It's a little bit of a memory for me every time I look at it of this wonderful time with people that know me so well. Like, they've literally known me since I was such a young girl, and it's nice to think that, you know, even though I'm much older, I'm not telling you how much older, but much older, that same young girl still lives in my heart. And there you can see the finished piece. All the watercolour is dry, and then I just came in and added a little bit of oomph, a little bit of punch with some colour pencil, added an extra person before I turned over and decided to create my month at a glance. Now, interestingly, I did the first sketch and it was really just for me. I was having fun with it. I wasn't sure where it was going to go, what I was going to use it for, but I created it landscape. And then I thought later on, I went, oh, I'm going to use it as my cover page to make me smile all month long and remember my lovely break. And I thought, you know what, that'd be a bit of fun. Let's turn our journal on its side and create everything in landscape. So this was fun. I've not done this. So just switched all my pages landscape, and I decided to create a month at a glance, which is what you can see here for February. I decided to add this cute little stitching that was around the edges of the tent on the cover page, and I decided to carry that as a theme throughout the pages, which was fun too. It feels a bit like leather or like kind of country and western or something. It's a bit of fun, like a belt or something. But and you'll see this kind of all the way through, which was a fun detail. And I created my month, and as my month began on a Thursday, I had, like, obviously my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday free. And for a change, instead of carrying them on from January, I thought, you know what, I'm going to create a sweet little vignette right there in that gap, in that space. So I sketched in this cute little tent, and then kind of oversized sunflowers and a little bit of the sun peeking through, which just had to be because we were sweltering up here in Queensland, so I had to have something with the sun in it. And then I'd simply just created these little boxes for the days of the week, and they're just 2.5 by 2.5 centimeters. So I will actually put the inches and stuff in there for you as well, so have a look for that. And then again, I always share my Saturday, Sunday together with a little diagonal line. And then I decided, you know what, I need another quote. Of course I do. And I decided to just put leaving footprints, taking memories. And honestly, so short and sweet, and a perfect little quote that is indicative of this fantastic little escape that I enjoyed. So I do skip through this one a little bit quicker because I'm doing lots and lots and lots of sketching this month. I am adding lots of music because talking to you for 40 minutes, you'll be bored to tears and sick of my voice. I certainly will. But more than that, once you draw 1 2.5 by 2.5 box, I think that you get the point and you don't need me to draw them all for you live on the video. And there you can see my month at a glance all finished and looking sweet, pretty details. And I simply just added a little bit of color to this one. So no watercolor this time around, just a little bit of color pencil, just to add a bit of, a little bit of swish, before I turn the page over to my head versus heart page. Now this is something a little bit different that I haven't created before, but after my fantastic little break, where I completely got out of my head and really just went with my heart and how I felt for the day, my intuition, everything really, and I thought, you know what, I need to do this. I need to actually write myself a list, which I know is head, but to remind me to get out of it and think with my heart. So I thought, right, these are the things I want to accomplish, and that's what I'm going to do in the head box. The things I want to accomplish, and then I'm going to step into my heart and I'm going to think how I'm going to do them and what is going to make my heart happy, and remind myself to take more breaks this year. I need to do more getaways like this. I truly do. That's what it told me. So I'm going to have a list, and if they are not balanced, I'm going to give myself a little mental shake, and I'm going to do a whole lot of things until they are. And I think that is something that I learned last year, that I get so caught up doing all the things, taking care of all the people, I don't take care of me. I don't have a break. I don't give myself grace if I don't accomplish all the things. Way too hard on myself. And I'm always telling my students to get out of their head and the imposter syndrome, and their work is great and there's room for them and they're enough, and then I don't think I do it to me. In fact, I know I don't. So this page is going to be really important, and you may see more of it. I may do different designs, or I may just keep this one for me. But if you would like to see more of it, and you would like to see more pages like this that remind us to get out of our head and into our heart, then let me know. Drop a comment below and I will make sure that I add them in, and we share the ideas together. Once again, I've got that cute little stitch detail on the font, on the typography at the top. And this one I did the oversized sunflowers, but then I decided to add this kind of boombox and some music, because that week was definitely all about the tunes, about the words, about the lyrics, about music, and taking me back to when I was young and or younger. and all the wonderful things. And my life is always, especially if you've been here a minute, you're going to go, yep, this is her. It is all about the words. Words speak to me, whether they're written in beautiful books, they're sung to me, their quotes, whatever they may be. Words are my hugest inspiration. Okay, so then I thought, right, I'm going to keep it basic, going to have my weekly spread, and I was still thinking of these. I mean, we just saw so many fabulous camper vans and all kinds of stuff. It's amazing how much trouble people go to get away and have these breaks but still have a bit of comfort, which is important when it's super hot up here in Queensland, because a lack of aircon makes for a kind of cranky, sweaty people unless you're in the pool. So I kind of did this one. It's just a truck. It's what I imagine. So if you're a Ford lover and you're thinking that's nothing at all like a Ford, then you'll have to forgive me because I don't drive a Ford. So I don't know. I was just imagining what a kind of chunky, sturdy truck would look like. I wrote the name Ford on the side because, I thought that was cute. Once again, I created this cute little caravan, and I've seen these little retro ones around, and they are so cool. Honestly, if it was me, I would get one of these and kit it out so it looked fantastic, and would be super comfy. And then, of course, had to add some bunting in because, what's a camper van or a retro trailer without bunting? I added some stitching to the bunting because, got the stitching detail thing going, so we had to add a bit more stitching. Once again, I wrote the word pause on it, so I named it to remind me to pause. And I'm going to come back in and add a little bit of colour with this one as well. But we are getting near the end, so before we go, I wanted to say once again thank you for being here, that I do hope that you found time during this crazy season and before the next year begins to pause yourself, and that you are remembering to feel your way, think with your heart, not just your head, and you managed to find some time to catch up with people that mean the world to you as well. However, whatever that looks like, whether it's going back to childhood or it's current friends that you've met along the way. But I do hope that you found time to pause and to replenish your soul. And if you are creating along with me and you have a theme that you would like to see, let me know. But I would definitely be following on with this kind of theme this year, this kind of finding my joy. And so you'll be seeing much of my life in pictures. But thanks again for being here. I will see you soon. Thank you.